best way and like ultimate cheat sheet when you're trying to look for trends to follow. There's a website, just look up googletrends.com
Yeah.
and you can search keywords and find it. So like even if someone's on social media
Hmm.
saying you should do XYZ, you should figure out is there actually a trend? So like Google Trends will tell you all the data you need to know to figure out if it's actually viable. I do agree with you when the company is successful, the founder and CEO shouldn't be handling the support. But
Hmm.
I think a lot of people get where when they're starting out their business, they think that they shouldn't handle support because they're this CEO.
No.
When if you don't
Right.
have a team, you have
Yeah.
to do all of the hats,
Yes.
right? You have
That's
to wear
right.
everything and do it. So,
Yeah.
like, especially when I was starting the companies, I was up at 1 a.m. responding to a petty email that I got from a customer, like you
Yeah.
have to be able to do all of that, and
Yeah.
you're never too high and mighty to
Yeah.
kind of go down to that level. Once you hit the growth and you start making money, you can actually bring on people.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Your Lab Central. Today, I have with me Zach. So, Zach, would you like to tell our audience why they should be excited about this conversation?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur for the past 8 years. I've been through all the roller coasters you can imagine, had, probably 11 different failed businesses, went in debt. Just like the classic entrepreneur journey. I ended up hitting one company really big. I ended up selling it about 2 years ago. So that kind of showed the whole journey, right? Entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. So I like talking about kind of the authentic version of what it actually is to start a business. I
Mhm.
think especially online in this whole influencer culture, everyone says that, starting a business is easy or everyone can make,
Yeah.
$10,000 in the next week. For me, that's never been the experience, and the entrepreneurs that I've operated with, it hasn't been their experience either. So I
Yeah.
like kind of that real no fluff conversation about, what it really takes to be a business owner, not just, hustle to make 10 grand and then have the business disappear in 3 months. So
Yeah.
that's my passion. That's what I love doing.
So you talked about hustle, right? But yeah, hustling is not something that you do just for a few months and then let it fizzle out, right? Now,
Yep.
this hustling mindset is not something that's very easy to have, not easy to maintain. Because yeah, you
Absolutely.
might have it for some time and then you feel like, yeah, I've made some good money, now I can relax, and then it just dies off, right? How did
Yep.
you maintain this whole mindset?
Yeah, it's a hard structure, right? Like my one of my biggest mantras is hustling can make you money, systems build your wealth.
Okay.
So I see too many people, especially my generation. I'm 24, so I'm young, hungry
Okay.
entrepreneur. But a lot of people that I've seen, especially in my age, they get trapped in this cycle where they're looking at social media and
Mhm.
they see 20 different guys that say, oh, you should do drop shipping, you should do AI agents, you should do XYZ, and they get
Right.
super excited,
Yeah.
right? They start, getting all excited. Man, I'm gonna be a millionaire by next week. I'm gonna start this business, and they jump into it, but they
Yeah.
don't realize how hard it actually is. So they have this
Yeah.
peak of excitement, then they get roadblocked and say, man, this is actually way harder than it is. Then
Mhm.
they go back on social media, they see another idea, they get super excited, and they're
Yeah.
trapped in this kind of cycle that is very hard to break out of if you don't know how to maintain the discipline of actually building it. Because,
Yeah.
like, what I've experienced is, and I've met guys that have the weirdest business models ever. Like, you would not expect them to make any money, and they
Okay.
make a killing. So it's for me, it's any business, any opportunity, any industry can make you rich if you stay disciplined and dedicated enough to actually go through that process.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, that's the cycle I see is, they ride the wave of excitement, they don't have the discipline to stay in, they crash, they get another idea, and they're stuck in that loop.
No, but then how did you get yourself out of this loop? So since we are talking, right, you got to have everybody coming out of this loop because that's the whole game, right?
Yep.
So now how would you say that you did it and then probably others can do it as well?
The answer is not as motivational or inspiring as
That's
probably
perfectly
most
fine.
people would
Yeah.
want. For me, it was failing 10 times, right?
Right.
Going into debt, having these experiences where you do get slapped in the face.
Mhm.
And for me, it was I got kicked in the teeth so many times that it almost forced my mindset to shift of, okay, well, I just got to stick with something and figure it out, like choose one thing. So it was more of just that experience of, I started a business. It didn't go too well. I started another business, didn't go too well. And just at a certain moment in time, I just kept thinking, well, would those businesses have failed if I stuck with it for 2 years? Because I only did it for like 6 months. So it's
Okay.
kind of that force of a mindset shift, not really like a decision I made.
Okay. Now, all these businesses that you started, fizzled out, did you ever look back and try to revive those things or probably just let them be?
Honestly, I let them be. Most of the time, I was trying to ride trends, and
Ah,
by the time I could look back and maybe reamp the business, the trend was already dead. So there
okay.
wasn't enough market share, there wasn't enough audience engagement to start it back up,
Yeah.
and like all the failures I learned from. So even though I didn't reamp the business, I learned what I did wrong. So then at a certain moment in time, it all compounds to the one company I ended up selling.
Okay. Now, you mentioned social media, right? Because people in our generation are getting stuck on social media, seeing a idea, seeing a trend, trying to ride the wave, and then probably the wave carries them somewhere, but it doesn't take them all the way, right? The next step is basically where the system comes into play, right?
Absolutely.
So we'll talk about social media later, but let's talk about the system that we are creating, right? We've got a business that's taken off. You started generating some revenue, you're getting some turnover. Now you got to systemize the whole thing. Okay. Now where do you start? Where did you start?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's really only three ways to truly systematize something. One is with some sort of automation.
Okay.
So the other one is with duplication of people, and the other one is actually figuring out where the fall off is. So what I've learned is there's three stages when you're starting a business that you need to focus on. So
Okay.
first is lead generation, right? Where
Right.
do you get your eyeballs? Pretty self-explanatory,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Second one is conversion. How do you convert that audience? Third is retention. And for
Yeah.
me, retention is the most important. So when I start talking about, systems and where to start, I always kind of reverse engineer it. Start with how you're going to retain your customers. So this starts with customer journey. So like what happens within the first 7 days of someone signing up for your product? And then you can start figuring out these systems that work. And every industry is different. There's no cookie cutter solution. But
Yeah.
let's say you're selling, a roof or some sort of e-commerce product,
Yeah.
right? The first step is you actually have to deliver on the service or deliver on the product. So, what happens in that process? Is it very manual? Do you have to spend hours and hours every time someone signs up to deliver it? Could you
Yeah.
automate that process? Maybe automatic email delivery or delivering the product digitally, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
once you really start thinking about that as kind of that umbrella term of what do you deliver? How do you deliver it? When do you deliver it by? You can start kind of putting the pieces of that puzzle together to figure
Okay.
out how you can put systems in place.
Mhm. So yeah, it's a puzzle that's unique to every industry. You rightly mentioned that. Now let's talk about social media in the whole picture, right? So the trends that you got, probably you took them out from social media. The people that are trying to create new businesses are picking up things from social media.
Yep.
Uh, but there's a lot of ideas floating around on the internet, right? In every
Yeah.
social media platform, there's some ex financial influencer or some random I don't know, motivational speaker speaking out saying that, yeah, this is an opportunity that I'm seeing, it's in the market, you should go out and pick it up. But
Yep.
how do you break this down? How did you find nine opportunities which you thought, yeah, these are the ones for me? Where do you
It's
pick
a
them?
very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And the simplest answer is trial and error. You got to try a lot of different things and figure out which one sticks.
Hmm.
The best way in like ultimate cheat sheet when you're trying to look for trends to follow, there's a website, just look up googletrends.com
Yeah.
and you can search keywords and find it. So like even if someone's on social media
Hmm.
saying you should do XYZ, you should figure out is there actually a trend? So like Google Trends will tell you all the data you need to know to figure out if it's actually viable. And
Yeah.
once you figure out are people actually searching for this or is it just noise on social media? Then you can start kind of filtering out, okay, this one's not that good. This one has really good data. And then you start going into the business side of things of like,
Yeah.
well, then you have to set up an entity, then you have to set up a store, then you have to build the processes and do that first iteration. But to really filter through the noise, like, I think it comes down to knowledge. I think it comes down to reading a lot of books, being able to kind of trust your gut and figure out like I think most people online nowadays can listen to someone and say, okay, they're either full of crap or they at least know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do that, I'd recommend reading some books and figuring out how to kind of trust your gut on that.
Yeah.
Once you trust your gut, then go to resources like Google Trends and find if it's actually being searched for.
Uh, what books are you recommending? What's the last book that you read about?
Oh, so I read a lot of books that some people probably wouldn't read. I'm a philosophical kind of guy. I love
Okay.
history.
Okay.
So, like one of my all-time favorite book recommendations is The Way of the Superior Man.
Okay.
So, especially for men going into business, this is a book that I would highly recommend. If you're looking for more business tactical books, start with like the classic is Think and Grow Rich. Start
Yeah.
with that. That kind of gets your mindset. Alex Hermosi has some phenomenal books with like $100 million offers, $100 million leads. Those are very good tactical books. One of my favorites is This Is Marketing by Seth Godin. That's a really good one if you're really trying to start like marketing and learning how, customer psychology works and how to
Yeah.
start converting more. Those are probably some of the best books that I would recommend starting with, but all of it is kind of pointless if you don't have that mindset. So
Yeah.
like start with like the Think and Grow Rich because
Mhm.
that's what's going to train the mindset. And that's just a classic, right? Everyone recommends
Yeah.
that book because it's such a good book.
Yeah.
And then go into more of the tactical side.
Mhm. Now, how have you been using social media these days? Once you start a business, you have to use it in some form or the other, or you're
Yeah.
just using it to leverage your own brand, right? Like we have this podcast, you're doing this
Yep.
conversation. But how are you leveraging social media these days?
So it's actually interesting. So I'm definitely not a social media influencer guru.
Yeah.
Definitely can't teach too much about the social media. Most of the businesses I started and the one I'm currently running, we've done it with zero social media and
Okay.
zero in ads. So
Yeah.
we've spent $0 on acquisition and
Hmm.
we're just crossing over that 100,000 a month mark.
Hmm.
Um, I think social media nowadays should be about your personality and your personal brand
Hmm.
as opposed to the business. Because
Right.
at the end of the day, if you sell a business, like the biggest social media channel I ran was for the business I sold. When you
Hmm.
sell the business, you also have to give them access to the social media accounts if
Yeah.
it's for the business. So that's why I'm kind of branching out nowadays
Hmm.
of doing a personal brand,
Hmm.
which I think is very important because I mean you can't sell it. That's the only downside. You can't sell your personal brand,
Yeah.
but you can leverage it to build your other entities. And I've never really done social media in that way before because I've never needed to, right? But now I see that power of if you focus on the personal brand, that's an asset you can hold for the rest of your life. So I wouldn't recommend doing like a business Instagram or a business YouTube. Like a podcast is phenomenal, a personal brand's phenomenal, and
Mhm.
that can be leveraged for just about anything.
No, sorry about that. But this, I love, this is something that I want to explore, right? You are not using social media for your business, okay? And you're just starting out for personal branding on social media.
Yep.
Now, this is an interesting angle, right? Because there are very few businesses left these days that are not actually leveraging social media as a form
Yep.
of whatever, even say branding or selling or whatever, right?
Yep.
Now, how are you approaching this? What's the different take that you have that, yeah,
Yep.
there's no requirement for me in my business?
Absolutely. So it goes back to kind of those three stages and really hyper focusing on retention. So, like what a lot of people, it seems like they're forgetting nowadays is business has been around for hundreds of years. Like
That's right.
business didn't start just because social media started.
That's right.
So it's a lot slower. Like social media gets you that fast scaling.
Yeah,
But what I learned is like if you really can manufacture your good word of mouth and customers telling stories, they're the best salesmen you can ever hire in the world.
that's right.
And that's how we've grown our entire business is
Mhm.
we got such a good result for our customers that they would share it. And
Yeah,
then that word of mouth compounds. And for me, that's way more sustainable. It's not as fast. You got to be very patient if you want to play
yeah,
that game. It's
yes.
not fast, but it's way more sustainable. Because
Mhm.
now, like, even for the past year and a half, we run a subscription model. we've
Mhm.
had a 0.5% churn rate in a year and a half. So
Right.
nobody cancels our product
Hmm.
because of how good we provide the result. And then from there, they always have three, four friends that they do, and it kind of compounds and builds, and you don't have to keep paying Zuckerberg for ads and all that stuff. And that's where I've found the most benefit of kind of just focusing on giving what you actually promise. Like people promise the world and then underdeliver. I undersell and overdeliver. So now I know that they're so bought in. They're like, wow, he did such a great job. This whole company's awesome. Hey, my buddy John, like you should sign up. You should sign up. And that's how you
Yeah.
can get that kind of growth.
Now, I'm actually curious, what kind of product are you selling that you got 0.5 percent churn rate? If you could just
Yeah.
enlighten, how do you want to share?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a software company that helps people grow online. So we have
Okay.
different features in there that, like website building, email and SMS
All right.
marketing.
Mm-hmm.
We have funnel builders. So
Mm-hmm.
just kind of all of the knowledge that I accumulated, I put into a product because most people are spending, a couple grand a month on all the tools they need to run their
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So after I sold the company, I had some capital and, I wasn't really doing this for a money grab. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take away all the excuses that people have financially. So
Mm-hmm.
we sell our entire system for $100 a month.
All
So
right.
it's, you get access to everything you need to build a business. We give you the coaching, training, teaching, and we don't upsell. We don't do anything like that. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is what you get.
Right. Now that's an interesting one because uh, a few episodes ago, I was talking to somebody and they were saying that references are the best form of getting business, right? Because you're not recommending yourself, your customer is recommending you to the next customer, the next possible customer. So that's a great way to do
Absolutely.
business. It
Yep.
does take a lot of time, but it creates real business, right? Value business for
Yep.
everybody that's involved. Now let's talk about what the systems that we're creating, right? Uh,
Yep.
the most I don't know, redundant thing that needs to be done, but is absolutely essential, right, in business, right? What's one thing that you've seen that is absolutely nobody paying attention to it, but it is one thing that needs to be taken care of?
Yep. Communication. So many people lack on communication, and
Yeah,
I think there's a big misconception when it comes to like customer support or just communication as a whole.
yeah,
Most people think that when someone reaches out with some sort of inquiry, if
yeah,
you don't provide what they want, it's
yeah,
bad customer service. But that's actually not correct.
yeah.
What really happens is you need to show that you care. If you take
Right.
3 days to respond, it's
Mhm.
going to be an angry conversation, regardless if you provided a solution or not.
Yeah.
So, what we focus so much on is that support. And that's what builds the customer stories. So, like when you send an email, we respond in like 2 minutes, and we may not have a solution for you. You may say, hey, I want a discount, or hey, I want, this feature. Can you build this out for me? And all we really do is show that we care. So it's, oh, let me talk to my manager. Let me see what we can do. I really want to get this for you. I can't make any promises, but let me see what I can do. And even if the answer is still no,
Mhm.
because you showed that you cared, that's where it comes in. Like
Yeah.
that's everything. So communication is probably one of the most manual tasks that you can basically fully automate and
Yeah.
have that, especially with like AI nowadays. It's crazy what you can do. And
Yeah.
like that's the biggest thing. If you had just top tier communication and
Mhm.
you prioritize that over anything else you do, you will 100% get customer attention and you will get people referring it out to other people.
Yeah. Now, okay, right. Customer support, right? Uh, is that something that you're looking into yourself, or have you created a team? There's a lot of delegation that needs to be done, right?
Yes.
Because customer support is not something that the founder or the core entrepreneur can do all day, all night, right? There has to be
Yep.
a team. And you said that a lot of delegation that needs to be done, right? Duplication of roles, as you mentioned. And now,
Yep.
how are you ensuring that the team is right and they're
Yeah.
actually ready to service the customer the way you want it?
Yep. So kind of two answers to that is one, I do agree with you when the company is successful, the founder and CEO shouldn't be handling the support.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of people get where when they're starting out their business, they think that they shouldn't handle support because they're this CEO.
No.
When if you don't
Right.
have a team, you have
Yeah.
to do all of the hats,
Yes.
right? You have
That's
to wear
right.
everything and do it. So,
Yeah.
like, especially when I was starting the companies, I was up at 1 a.m. responding to a petty email that I got from a customer, like you
Yeah.
have to be able to do all of that, and
Yeah.
you're never too high and mighty to
Yeah.
kind of go down to that level. Once you hit the growth and you start making money, you can actually bring on people. The
Yeah.
best investment that you can make is instead of hiring a customer support rep, I hired a customer success manager.
Okay.
So there's two differences, right? The customer support rep is someone that just responds to the email. The
Hmm.
success manager ensures that every single customer has achieved success.
Hmm.
And the biggest thing with that is it is more expensive, but the best hire, and all of my customers tell me this, we hired a girl named Olivia, and she is absolutely phenomenal at what she does,
Yeah.
but it took so long to train her.
Right.
So, like, you can't expect, like, we had to go out of pocket to pay her for the training, but it took like a month and a half for her to really understand it. But
Hmm.
now she takes care of everything. She
Right.
finds the customer success or the customer support reps and all of that stuff, but really narrowing down on like what is your standard operating procedure? How do you operate in your business? What is the answers to every single objection you've ever got? And the trick with that is you only know those answers if you, as the founder and CEO, have done that,
Yeah.
right? You can't delegate a process that you don't know anything about. So
Right.
you have to do it first, figure out all the systems and processes, every objection that you ever had, and then you
Yeah.
can delegate it out.
That's right.
So
No.
one strategy that we've used that definitely may help some people too is like most softwares can record calls, especially if you're
Yes.
on like Zoom and stuff. There's like Fathom or there's a lot of,
Yeah.
note takers.
Firefly and yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Firefly, Note, all of them. But what I would always do is every single call, I would have some sort of note taker on there, whether it's my phone, you can download like the ones on your phone. So I would record every single conversation I had with a customer and I would categorize all the emails that I did with it.
Hmm.
So then I would take once a week, I'd spend about an hour. I would take all of those notes and just put it into AI to summarize. And it would
Yeah.
give me a list of every objection, everything that happened, what were the themes, and when you get that much data, it's it's not easy, but it's a lot easier to train someone to do that customer support.
Yeah. That's right. Since we are talking about AI, what are some of the tools that you've used in your businesses? Uh,
Yeah.
because it's just up and coming, and there are a lot of people looking for recommendations, right? What are some recommendations that you would give?
Yeah. So there's a couple different ones that I use for different use cases. So for the example I just said of like kind of synthesizing a ton of data, recordings, calls, SOPs, stuff like that, Notebook LM is probably the best one that I've found to do that. It's free, so like it's easy to sign up for, but you can upload like 1,000 documents in one thread and just ask it questions. So that one's phenomenal. ChatGPT is great for kind of like deep research or basic questions.
Mhm.
It's not the best when it comes to copywriting. For
Yeah.
copywriting, I use Claude. Claude
Yeah.
is really good at writing and getting really specific. So, like, kind of my process with it is I'll use ChatGPT to kind of get the standard of what I want to do. So, like, I'll import this is my company, this is what I do, this is how I talk, this is my brand voice, all these different things. It'll spit out kind of that summary. I take the summary, I put it into Claude, and I say, cool, write a email or write website copy based on this brand voice. Then once you have that and you can gain customers, I upload all the customer data into Notebook LM, and
Mhm.
then I ask it questions to learn more about my customer audience. And then you just kind of recycle that process until you have just such a narrowed down thing that is
Yeah.
just phenomenal.
No, that's a great way to do it. But yeah, is there any other tool that you recommend, right, for creating system? We just talked about automation using AI, but
Yep.
any other tools that are there, out there in the market, but not a lot of people are using?
Yeah. Probably the biggest one, like if we're talking tactics of business for like email automation using AI and like stuff like that. And I usually don't shout out like my product at all. Like I'm not here to sell. This is not like a sales pitch or anything. we have done a really good job at building those automations. So the
Mhm.
company's name is Rubik Management. You can Google us. We're all over Google. So that's what I'd recommend. Like I said, not a sales pitch, not here to promote anything, but we have done a good job with that. There's a couple other CRM tools that are good if you're really looking at like tactics,
Yeah.
um, but they're expensive, and you got to be willing to pay for some of the tactical sides of that business.
Okay. So yeah, thank you so much. I mean, we've done a lot of conversation, right, across different
Yeah.
subjects that we've done. But I'll just come back to social media just now, just before we finish up, right? Talking about your personal journey with social media, okay? What are the platforms that you're using, and is there any specific reason that you're particularly sticking to that platform?
Yeah. The biggest platform I use and really only platform I use is YouTube.
Okay.
Couple reasons for that. For me, short form content is very hard to mass produce.
Uh,
Um, it's for me, I don't like sitting there and talking for 30 seconds. I kind
uh-huh.
of like giving a story and actually doing it. So long form content has been what I enjoyed the most. And I
Yeah.
think with social media for everybody, you really have to focus on what do you enjoy. If you hate making 30-second videos, make hour-long videos,
Yeah.
right? If you hate making hour-long videos, go to 30 seconds. And then if you're doing the shorts, TikTok is phenomenal, Instagram's amazing. I mean, YouTube shorts are pretty good too.
Yeah.
Um, I just feel like I can't really get what I'm trying to teach across in less than 30 seconds. Uh, Maybe someday I'll get good enough of like really
Yeah.
getting specific, but that I focus on YouTube. And then the second reason is the AdSense. YouTube
Uh,
pays the most out of any platform
that's
out
true.
there. Um, so like when you get, and I think it's like 1,000 subscribers, and then you go up
Yes.
from there that you have to get paid. So like it's hard to get there. But if you get there, I mean, you can make 4 or 5 grand a month just on YouTube for posting videos.
Hmm.
So the AdSense for me is a lot better. And then the third reason I use YouTube is it's way easier to sell products on YouTube than it is TikTok. Because
Okay.
TikTok, everyone's looking for entertainment. They're looking for that short video to laugh at, to resonate with.
Yeah.
YouTube, if you can actually get someone to watch 20 minutes of you, the likelihood of you being able to sell them into a product increases exponentially.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the three biggest reasons I recommend YouTube. It's way harder to do. It takes a lot longer to do,
Yeah.
but I mean, from the summary, I guess that's kind of my whole entrepreneurial life, right? I'm patient as anything, and I'll wait. I'll do something for 5 years if that's what it takes. And I'm just now starting on YouTube, so
Okay.
like I've only been doing it maybe 2 months now, so I can't teach on like tactics of how to do the videos and stuff. There's a lot of resources out there, but that's what I would recommend for people just starting out if you want to do long form, just because of those three reasons.
No, I actually agree with what you said, and I'm surprised that this is the first time somebody is saying that they prefer YouTube as a social media platform because nobody has ever said that, yeah, I use only YouTube to go out and reach out to people. Yeah, because everybody either has LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or something of that
Yep,
sort. But yeah, that's right. Actually, it's very easy to sell a product or sell a service to somebody once they've been listening to you for 20, 25 minutes, because now
absolutely.
you know they're very willing to get into the idea that they've already been sold to the idea that you're selling in that video. So yeah,
Yep.
thanks for that. Thanks for that perspective again, because not a lot of people actually say it out loud that they're on YouTube specifically because they prefer that platform for that.
Of
So yeah, thanks, Zach. Thanks for joining me in on this episode of Your
course.
Lab Central. Before we close, any contact details where people can get in touch with you if they want to know more?
Yeah, definitely on the YouTube channel. It's just Zac Harms, Zac_Harms. Subscribe there. I'm not there to sell a course. I don't sell courses. I don't sell masterminds. It's all the knowledge that I've gained over the past 8 years. I give it out completely for free for long form videos. So if you ever want to learn about tactics or how to build companies on word of mouth alone, how to not spend millions of dollars on ads to grow, the YouTube channel is definitely where to go. If you are interested in the software, you can go to rubikmanagement.com if you want to, but really just the YouTube. Start with learning the tactics before you dive headfirst into starting any business.
Now, again, I have this question. You already said that you're not a guru, right? But you're not a motivational speaker or something, or you're not here to teach. But then I guess from the little conversation that we had, know quite a lot of stuff that you can start actually doing some classes probably if you want. There will be somebody who's willing to pay you for that. I'm sure.
Yeah. It's a hard concept.
Yeah, it's a hard
I know
sell.
I could. Like I've spoke on stages, like I've been invited to do keynotes and different things, and
Yeah,
I for me I've always just viewed it as I'll give you all the knowledge in the world for completely free, and still only 1-2% of people are even going to use the knowledge to do anything.
yeah,
So if you actually want to implement it, I charge for it. I charge for my time, I charge for the systems that I provide, but I'll give you all the knowledge. I mean, because in all reality, you could Google and learn more than most courses will ever teach you. You could
yeah,
read all the books on here and learn just as much as I know.
yeah.
And like for me, a price tag on that is hard to justify. But if you want to implement it or go into business with me, I charge.
Of course. So yeah, that perfectly makes sense. Thanks for joining in. Thanks again to
Of
the
course.
audience. If you like the conversation, do leave a like. The comment section is open if you have questions or if you want to add to the conversation. Yeah, do leave a comment, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe before you close the window itself. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks, Anne.
Of course. Thank you.